As much as I'm confident and I'm self-assured, I didn't speak up for the longest of time. I didn't speak up for 6 years, Molly. And I read your book, Say It Skillfully. After reading your book, I spoke up. And I think that's these epiphanies that I spoke up, that I mentioned earlier on, happened after speaking up, and things are unfolding and unveiling themselves because I had spoken up. And I don't think if I had not read your book, I would have spoken up. I don't think if I went to INSEAD, I would have spoken up. It has been a very thorny, I must say, speaking up, but you need to be courageous. And I want to encourage your listeners that speaking up does require training, but you need to be courageous to speak up. And it does come with consequences, good or bad.
Hello, Molly here on the Say It Skillfully podcast. This is the 44th feature episode of Our Voices, an in-depth look into the life journeys you may find quite unexpected. We'll discuss ways to inspire and enact social change that level the playing field and help everyone live to their full potential. And I encourage you to listen with an open mind to this account of what it means to grow up, struggle, learn, work, and live in our world. My guest today didn't choose her own name, but it turned out to be prophetic. Nomtandazo means a woman of prayer. Her mother endured 5 miscarriages before she arrived as an answered prayer. She grew up navigating 2 faiths at once, church on Sundays, mosque through the week, an early lesson on holding complexity with grace. And that same grace carried her through university, where classmates named her General for her fearlessness, and into a career in tax law, finishing her master's degree with a newborn daughter, literally waiting in the car outside night class so she could slip out between lectures to breastfeed. She's since chaired boards, earned awards, and been crowned Mrs. Africa. Today, she's asking a much bigger question than any of those achievements demanded, and not whether she's capable, but where and how she wants to lead with integrity. And a very, very warm welcome to Chartered Tax Advisor and Force of Nature, Thando Lamula. Thando, welcome to Say It Skillfully.
Hi, Molly. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really honored to be here.
I want to tell you that I'm going to outduel you because it's really my honor. And we first met in last year in Portland, October, I think, of 2025. We have to do a shout out to the International Women's Forum. And you have been in a whirlwind year through this esteemed leadership development program that I had the pleasure to kick off. So I think you've been to INSEAD since and Cambridge. And so I would just love your thoughts on this part of your journey.
It has really been an amazing, once in a lifetime opportunity. I didn't imagine that I'd be surrounded by such dynamic women of the IWF fellowship. And also gratitude goes to my sponsor, who happens to be the CEO of personal and private banking at Standard Bank, which is a global bank. Gratitude, boundless thank you to Ms. Funeka Munjani for believing in me beyond the hiccups of life and beyond 8 to 5s and beyond chairing and working in boards. I am eternally grateful. Now, going back to the sisterhood that I have found in my fellows through the program, I've learned so much. I've learned and unlearned a lot of things. At INSEAD, it was more about the person, the inner person. Develop yourself from you to the world. And Cambridge came with a very different point of view, from the world to you. How do you lead in a changing world? And those lessons have been lessons that I cannot take away, that I cannot not acknowledge. They are dynamic, and I'm really lost for words to express my my eternal gratitude. And I'm still taken aback because there were a lot of epiphanies that happened, particularly at INSEAD, considering my career pivoting from a specialist point of view to more wanting to lead from an entrepreneurial point of view. But I don't know what the future holds, but I'm just excited about tomorrow.
Yes, that is so fabulous. Thank you. I have such vivid images of you per se, because there are points of just me closing my eyes and seeing you literally bound in like like a slight jog, just kind of running in bound, and you feel very boundless in your energy. And what I observed for people was you come in, everyone was everyone. And I don't know how many people we had in the cohort. What's the full number in the
38. We had additional two ladies who were in the previous cohort who couldn't do Cambridge. So at INSEAD, it was still 38 of us. And in Cambridge, it was 40 of us.
Oh,
Amazing
nice.
individuals as well.
That's fantastic. I didn't realize that. But to give listeners a chance, that's a 40-ish people, and everyone arrives having read all these ridiculously impressive bios of people, and everyone's feeling like, why am I here? Like literally everyone. And to see people open up, to be real, to give themselves permission to not know, to not be right, to really be themselves, and to make space for these epiphanies, Tando, that you're mentioning, just is such an organic, creative experience. And so I want to encourage folks who are listening that the journey of becoming who we are is a lifetime's one. We're constantly growing. There's a new me every day. I like that quote from my mentor, Marshall Goldsmith. And to not discount that, taking some time, stepping back, getting input from others, being open to that input can really be generative and create untold opportunities. And like you said, Tando, you may not know the exact wheres, but that out there is really goodness. I mean, I know that I can see it in you, and it's really, really empowering. So, again, a shout out to IWF. I know you're in the midst of it, so we'll be interested in how that continues to grow. We'll get to what might be ahead for you, but Tando, you have such a rich personal, professional background. So I'd just love for listeners to have a chance to get to know you.
When I started my career, I really wanted to be a political activist. I just wanted to be in politics. I wanted to be in parliament. And I asked my dad after finishing with high school that I'm going to go to university. I'm going to study political science. And he's like, no, I'm not going to pay school fees for a Nelson Mandela who's going to go to jail. And then the next best thing really was to study towards a law degree. And he's like, no, you're going to be defending criminals. I'm like, what do you want from me? He said he wanted a scientist. I'm like, I don't have the maths and science brain. And then I ended up studying towards BCom law. And as time went by, I enrolled for a BCom law, a Bachelor of Commerce in Law. And it was interesting. I got to do a bit of law and commerce. And while studying, I ensured that because of the love of politics, I went to student activism programs, and we call it doi doi in South Africa. It's protest. So in a public university or institution, protests, they're not something unusual. But because I had the privilege of going to a private institution, unlike many South Africans, I really was blessed with growing up in privilege. My parents were entrepreneurs. They could afford for me to go to prestigious institutions of learning. So there I was, gathering students, which was not allowed. It's a private university at the mind you. So I got to be in trouble. I was in trouble with my other colleagues, and we then embarked on other measures. We introduced the Black Management Student Chapter, which will eventually assist or allow students to get the glimpse of corporate while at an institution of higher learning. Interesting. Everything went well, but I still had the urge of joining political affiliations. And I went and looked for the African National Congress Youth League, and I plugged in, and I later became the secretary of that particular branch that I was a member of, and I went up the ranks while still studying. And that's where I got the pseudonym General from, because I was just very feisty and I had the zeal as a young person. But a catch came when I had to go enter the corporate world. I had to tame myself. Luckily, I got my first job as a legal assistant at the Southern African Music Rights Organization. This is where I really got stretched, but I thought I'm going to be a company secretary because of the law degree and the legal background. But the contract ended prematurely, and I was already in my second postgraduate, which was compliance and corporate governance. I thought I'm going to be a company secretary, but it didn't work the way I had envisioned. And I was approached by the South African Revenue Service, and that's where I fell in love with tax. At that point, I was doing my third postgraduate. It was taxation laws postgraduate. I enjoyed and I immersed myself in taxation. I thought that, look, I am the best thing that has ever happened to the universe when it comes to taxation laws. But when you're young, you are so ambitious and you don't think that, no, this is not the end and all. At the time, I reported to a very nice lady called Manini Madisha. She stretched me so much. I remember she asked me to write a legal opinion. And there I went copying and pasting a legislation directly from the internet. And I gave her and I said, this is my opinion. And she said, no, Thando, this is how it doesn't work like this. You just copied and pasted. I need you to go and apply your mind. And she stretched me and I was very frustrated. But I'm grateful for the opportunity and the teachings and learning and trainings which I didn't get in tertiary or at university level, that she had taken her time to teach me how to draft documents in a way that I look back right now and I'm still grateful. Well, legal became boring, then moved to international tax, and that is where I fell in love with a different world of tax. Far from your corporate or local domestic tax. Now I had to deal with double taxation agreements and dealing with the likes of the OECD, understanding American laws and American model tax conventions, that it's different from the rest of the world. You would understand, coming from Africa, you're dealing with various documents that are at a global space. And then I felt really blessed at the time, and I'm still grateful for that opportunity. My then manager was Tebogo Mathosa, who I'm still eternally grateful for meeting. And at a social gathering, Molly, I meet a partner who is a PwC partner. And we were just chatting casually, and I tell him that your structures are so flawed. Remember, I'm young, I'm very confident, and I'm busy dissing. I didn't think that this person is a very senior individual within a very global entity. And he then said, okay, can we exchange numbers? Give me your email address. I'd like to invite you to coffee. Eventually, after some time, I go to coffee with him, and other three partners were there, and I was in an interview at PwC South Africa. And then I was just taken aback. What is happening? And they said, we're just having a coffee. We want to understand your intellectual capacity. What can you bring into the organization? And I said, I didn't apply for being here. I don't want to be here. And they persuaded me. I then have to go to Tebogo and say, look, PwC is in talks with me. They want me to come. I love it here. You taught me so much. And Tebogo said, just go and spread your wings. You'll come and retire here, meaning at the revenue services. Go and learn. And when I got to PwC, I was already doing my master's and I had met my husband.
We're going to stop for a bit, take a break on the career journey, which is fascinating. And that you are so lit up about tax is amazing because I'm like, oh, tax schmacks. You're like so on fire about it. I love it. I would like to go back to when your first childhood memory, because I think a lot of listeners and how you grew up and just what it was like, siblings, just take us back to that part of your early years.
At the time my mom met my dad had lost his first wife and he had already had children from the previous marriage. But my parents' age difference is quite huge. So my siblings are old enough to be my parents. Ideally, technically, I am an only child, and unfortunately, I lost all of my siblings. So it brings me back to being an only child. But I had an amazing upbringing. I was born when my dad was like 59. He had retired. He was running multiple businesses, from selling coal to supermarkets to being a farmer. So I grew up at a farm with pigs and cows and all sorts of livestock. My father was really a sunflower farmer. So I immersed myself in farm life. But when I grew up, I thought, I'm not going back there. I'm going to the city. I ended up in Johannesburg and I do miss farm life. So I had a very amazing childhood. I spent a lot of time with my dad. My mom was the one who ran these businesses because she was still young and had the energy, and my father was retiring. So he had all the time in the world for me. I remember I was in the first grade, and I asked him to wait for me. Literally, I'm going to go to school. It won't be long. Will you wait for me? And he said, yes, I'll wait for you. So school starts at 8 a.m. and it finishes at 1 p.m. I have my lunch box. Well, I guess at the time I was a child. I was not bothered whether this person is going to eat or not. But yeah, he waited. And we went home, and from home, we had lunch there and we drove. Okay, I had two homes. I had the home that was located in the township because there was a little business running there. And then I had a home that was located at the farm. So we went to the one in the township to have lunch there, and then we went to the farm. And so we'd play together with my dad, and do my homework. At the time my mom comes, everything is already said and done and sorted. So yeah, I had an amazing out of the ordinary childhood. I tell you, even when I turned 30, my father was about 90 or so, and I would still sit on his lap, and he would still treat me like a little girl. I remember my daughter at the time, my eldest was born. She had the privilege as well to meet my dad. I remember sitting on my dad's lap and she's like, no, this is my place. I'm like, no, this is my dad. That's how amazing the relationship I had with my dad was.
So I'm curious, I just love the joy emanating. Were there particular lessons you learned from your father? I mean, were you ever out of bounds? He had to reel you in? I mean, it just sounds like such an idyllic relationship.
I would go to my dad crying that, look, I missed this opportunity, be it in corporate or what, during my studies, but most particularly in corporate, that, look, I didn't get this opportunity. It really hits hard. I'm sad. What do I do? What do I do next? And he will say, you're going to dust yourself, pick yourself up, because you're your best support system. You are going to blow your own horn, because I'm not going to be there forever. And you know it. So there's nobody who will be cheering you on, and you cannot expect cheerleaders from everybody, but you need to self-motivate. You know you're the best. My dad used to make me think that I am the very best that has ever happened to creation. Our clan name is Timkulu. It means a big tree. It's a massive tree. There's a part where it says you are so big, it's so big that it's closer to the heavens. So Zulu means heavens, or so in Zulu, so Mtimkulu, it's a big tree that is closer to the heavens. It's closer to Zulu. So he would say that you are closer to God, you are closer to the heavens. And there's a part that goes to your eyelashes are so beautiful. They beautify the sun. And I'm like, okay, so he would recite the clan name and make me realize that no, I'm actually the best thing that God has ever created on earth. And there's a part on the clan name that says, your ears are shine, your indlebe zikhanya. They are so big, the sun actually draws its light from your ears as well. That's what I had drawn from my dad, and he's been, may God rest his soul in peace. He's been a really great support system, and as a result, when I looked for a spouse, I kept on going back to looking for somebody who is closer to my dad, and I'm quite fortunate that my husband is a very good friend of mine.
I love it. So we have to hear, because it's fabulous, how people meet their spouses. The number of stories is just amazing, but yours is fabulous. So please share with us how you met your beloved.
So I was still working at the receiver of revenue, SARS, and my Lyft club had my carpool. So I wasn't driving it on the day. And then my carpool guy is like, please, can I be excused today? I won't be able to drop you off. And I was very miserable because we didn't have Uber at the time. And the meter taxis, you had to call, and it was just at last minute. And he told me that he'll just drop me off at the highway. I'll get a minibus taxi. In South Africa, minibus taxis are quite popular, but I was not exposed to using minibus taxis. So I thought, okay, wherever you drop me off, he dropped me off on the highway. I was in heels, carrying a laptop bag and my sports bag because I gymmed. I used to go to gym at work, and I had running shoes. But Thando did not want to take off her heels and wear running shoes because I thought I'm going to look very strange. It's going to mess up my look. I'm going to stay in these heels. But now my heels are burning and there's no minibus taxi that's coming. I'm going to hike. I'm going to take this risk and hike. Stop the next car. Well, we call it hiking in South Africa. I don't know what's the global phrase called, but then stopping any other car that will stop. So the sign that we usually use is this, and the car will stop. Couple of cars didn't stop, and well, there's this guy who was driving a Toyota Corolla, and I thought, okay, this is an old guy. He won't do anything to me. Elderly guys drive Toyota Corollas. I'm not discriminating against anybody who drives a Toyota Corolla. But in any event, it was a young man who was very tall. And I thought, okay, he's driving his dad's car because no young man would be driving that car. Yeah. So I get in and I ask, please, can you drop me at the next robot? I believe I'll get a lift. Then I can probably order a minibus taxi, a meter taxi there. And he gave me a lift and we started conversing. He's a nice guy. La-di-da-di-da. And then he didn't drop me off at the robots or the traffic lights. He dropped me off at my next destination. I was going to church. I was an staunch Christian at the time. He dropped me off at the church and he said, can you please pay me the bus fare? Like, dude, I don't even have cash on me and you're wanting a bus fare. Can I take your bank accounts? I'll deposit the money in your account. I'm like, what an idiot. Why would you want a bus fare? Be that as it may, I didn't give him my bus fare. I couldn't exchange for some odd reason, I was carrying a BlackBerry. The phone just jammed. It didn't work. And he took my numbers. And the following the following Sunday, he calls me and he says, "Ma'am, do you remember you owe me? Or you owe me?" I'm like, "Okay." And he said, can we go for tea?" And I agreed, let's go for tea. And that was like technically our first date, but then we had tea and we had lunch and, at an airport. It's called Grand Central Airport. And the next Monday, I think, he insisted in seeing me again. And I'm like, "No, dude, I don't want to see you." He insisted up until he came and he brought me flowers. That was just a big deal for me because, African guys don't really like buying flowers. I was very impressed. I'm like, "Dude bought me flowers." And from then we started seeing each other more often and the rest is history.
So fabulous. So did you ask him what he was thinking by the bus fare? Did he really want the bus fare? Or was he like trying to come up with some reason to stay in contact with
No,
you?
he was just wanting to come. He was coming up with a reason just to see me again. He liked the conversation because we met a couple of weeks after my birthday and I was telling him how fabulous my birthday was. And I went out, I went on a spa and yeah, so he really liked the fact that I was very confident and I was not wanting anybody to do anything for me and I was independent. And he said he liked the fact that I took myself out and I did all these things for myself. I didn't wait for a bunch of friends to go out. Yeah.
You're amazing. That's the
Thank
force of
you.
nature in you, Tando. That's amazing. Okay,
Thank
so
you.
the thing about and I don't know where you get all your energy, and this comes from someone who has quite a bit of it, but you've been really weaving your ability to professionally move forward and also nurture a loving family. Thoughts on, I think you have 2 children, is that correct?
Yes, I've got 2 girls. It's been an amazing journey. My 9-year-old was born when I was when I was just when I was at PwC. And at the time I was pregnant with her, I was completing my master's in international tax. So it was a tough one. Between me attending class and her birth, if I lost out on my class time, I had to extend the course for another year. And my husband was like, "No, we're going to go to class with this child because you must graduate very soon." Okay, dude, let's go. So what would happen is that my classes were on a Wednesday evening. My classes took place on a Wednesday evening, so we would drive together, the 3 of us. When I went to class, he'd stay with the baby in the car, and during recess, I'd run to the car to breastfeed because my milk supply pumping was just very low. I I couldn't have enough breast milk, and the baby was rejecting formula. Very feisty baby. You can tell now why now that the personality is out and she's 9 years, you can tell that, oh, okay, that's why you were rejecting formula. But be that as it may, every recess I'd run to the car, um, give her milk and cuddle. 10 minutes, go back to the class. But I had an arrangement with my professor that, dude, I might need to step out for longer. And he's like, "Yeah, Thando, you were pregnant a few months ago. You need to go and nurture the baby." Okay, great. We're in the same level. We're in the same boat. So yeah, that's how my husband has been supportive of me. And I really enjoy being his friend and a life companion. While I was at PwC, I really loved it, but consultancy for me wasn't working between being a mother and servicing offshore clients. the Americans would wake up at 6 and it's 3 for me, or it's in the evening. So the timing difference was just not working at the time. I have a little child and a young family. So I decided to leave uh, PwC and join Sanlam Private Wealth, which is a bit on the relaxed side. I did management, but still doing a bit of tax and structural work. And at the time I joined Sanlam Private Wealth, I was not really very challenged. So I joined. I told my husband, I'm a bit bored. What do you think I should do? Jokingly, he said, go join a beauty pageant or do something that you haven't done before. I thought he was serious. And then I registered for Mrs. Africa. As short as I am, I thought, okay, I'm just gonna do it for fun. I joined Mrs. Africa and I learned how to sit. I learned how to have how to walk, poise, how to talk. Because I've been a tomboy, and here I am having to be a lady, and and yeah, it went well. I was surprised that I won. And they said my portfolio was the best. I was the best when it came to the interview. The only thing that made me that diminished my points was my walk. But that was not a major thing. My charitable and my benevolent acts were great. So they, before the pageant or before the date of the winning, they already know who's their winner. So they had been eyeing me during pageant week, how I've been talking to people and how I've been encouraging the prettier ladies, the dolls, that you need to apply for jobs, you need to be independent, because most of them were stay-at-home moms, and I've been building a circle of independence and motivating ladies to be going and fetching their lives. So I think one of the judges said, you told one woman to go fetch her life. And I was not conscious of that. Fast forward, I joined Standard Bank. Standard Bank actually poached me because they were looking for a replacement for a lady who was doing their structures, international tax and trust work. Irony is that the lady who left Standard Bank replaced me. Well, she took my role at Sanlam and I took her role at Standard Bank. We just literally switched roles because I know her very well, Christine. Yeah, we just literally switched roles. This is now 2020. And I joined Standard Bank 2019 in December. 2020, COVID hits in, lockdown, and we are having the best time of our lives with my husband and my little girl, my mom. I beg your pardon. Let me just take you a step back. In 2019, in March, I lose my dad. And that was the most horrible phase in my entire life. I think also the pageant kept me busy. During the preparation of the pageant, I had consumed myself in the pageant and trying to forget about my loss. I didn't grieve properly per se. And yeah, throughout the whole of 2019, I just needed an escape. So I probably also was not really dedicated to the role at Sanlam. I needed and at the time, Standard Bank came at the right time that I just needed to move from one environment to the other. 2020, lockdown, and then lockdown, and we had lots of fun with hubby, and then I fell pregnant with my youngest. And yeah, she is also a very super lady. She has all the energy in the world, and she's in grade double R right now. She can write her name and count till 10, but she's an amazing. They're both amazing. They've got very different personalities. The elder one is she's outspoken, but not neat. the youngest one is not really outspoken, but very orderly. So they've both taken a bit of my husband and I here and there.
It's amazing. How have you, because you have a very busy career. And so, did you and your husband create a pact? Did it just organically happen? I just think a lot of folks, that's just kind of an eternal uh, thing that people have to figure out. And it just sounds like you're having time to nurture your girls the way you'd like. I mean, just say a little bit about what's worked, or maybe when periods of time when it was very frustrating or didn't.
Um, I think my husband, because he is more of an entrepreneur and he's got a lot of time, um, flexibility, he is a more of a present parent than I am. I would feel very guilty, and that really got me in a position of seeking therapeutic help. That look, I'm working, um, I'm an 8 to 5 mom, and this is not working for me. I probably wanted assurance, which he did give at the time that I was in need of. I felt it's not working. I just really wanted to disengage and stay at home to be a mother. And with the support system that he had built and we both built, I learned to accept that it's not all rosy, but we can work through it. So I had or moments of doubt and disbelief in myself that I'm failing my girls. I'm not a present mom, because equally I chair boards, and the irony of it that most of these boards that I sit in, my husband has truly been the one who has applied for me. Uh, the latest board, the Mpumalanga Economic Regulator, one of my friends calls me, this is a year ago, a year and a half ago, and he says, Thando, you're in the newspaper. Congratulations. I'm like, what do you mean? Uh, and he said, go and get the Sunday newspaper. I'm like, I beg your pardon, I don't read Sunday newspapers. I used to read Sunday newspaper back to back when I was a little girl. My dad would force me to read on every Sunday. I would read the newspaper religiously from the first headline to the sports to the sports section, and that was trauma enough. And I had to summarize the newspaper, so I hated the newspaper. So I wouldn't voluntarily go and buy a Sunday newspaper unless there's something I'm inquisitive about. But this guy told me that I'm on the Sunday newspaper, sees my name, I'm chairing a board. Okay, what's happening? I then go and he sends me a screenshot of that newspaper. And I was there and I called my husband. I remember at the time I was at my parents' place. Um, and I tell him that I'm appointed as the chairperson of the Mpumalanga Economic Regulator. What is happening? He's like, yeah, I dropped your CV off 6 months ago. I didn't believe it. I didn't even think that they'll appoint. It's been a while. Like, okay, but you should have told me. He's like, it was lying there in the cupboard and you had certified some documents. What was that for? Why did you do that? He's asking me, why were my documents lying around? Like, I don't know. I don't know, why were they lying around? And it's like, yeah, I thought you wanted this. I just dropped them off. So my husband has been the one who's really been applying for me for these corporate governance roles. And he has been really a great support system. So he came to the party and assured me that, look, you are building a career here. You cannot expect to be a superwoman. You would need all the support you need in the world. And he says he comes from a point of privilege. He runs a very successful IT company. He can buy his time. And with me, I can't buy my time because I'm still an employee. And yeah, that hit hard. But yeah, I appreciate it.
That that is partnership. Wow. I think that's an unbelievable tale. Crazy. Um, Talk about what do you think is ahead without any pressure to name it, but I'm just curious how you think about 'cause I think lots of people out there listening are in roles and maybe they're planning on staying in their roles. So where are your areas, either professional that you want to target, or maybe there's some personal areas of growth?
I've had a lot of setbacks in my career, um, within my immediate employer. Um, and that has really required me to build a bit of resilience. I have not. I've been knocking on doors and they've been slammed back at me. But I don't see rejection as a setback. The universe is redirecting me. At some point, I thought I'm not enough. What is it that I should do? I lead great institutions. I I'm highly qualified. What is it that I need to give more to the world or more to the organization to get this recognition that I'm asking for? And I am on a journey of redirection right now. And I've also realized I don't need validation. I am enough. So it took a while a lot of chanting as well, and a lot of meditation and therapy for me to realize you are enough and you're where you're supposed to be. These setbacks and these, I don't want to call them negative elements, but redirections are necessary for your next. I'm not in the position to disclose my next, but it looks so beautiful. It looks so promising because I'm a great believer of yes and amen. So at this point and juncture, I'm hopeful for the bright future. I'm hopeful for great things that are about to happen. And under the same breath, I wouldn't have gotten this opportunity of being a fellow of the IWF at a global space if the universe of God did not know what they're preparing me for. And equally, I have to be tested. Um, not wanting to be religious or anything, but the Psalm 23 goes on to says, He prepares my table before my enemies. So how will God prepare your table if you don't have enemies, or if you, no, it's not necessarily evil forces, but the good and the bad have to happen simultaneously or in conjunction or parallel. You can't have a table prepared if you don't have enemies. And the enemies
Yeah.
are not human beings, or it's just forces, or it's situational or circumstances.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
wise. I'm just so enlightened, and I think it's so great for listeners to hear you. And it's far easier to say, right? I am enough. And just learning to embrace the challenges, what might look like setbacks. I mean, it's to your point, it's all needing to happen. Would
Mhm.
you share a bit about how you felt like you've been able to embrace that? Because I presume at some point, you're kind of pushing back against it, like, oh, this is really bad. And then how did you, in your own mind, right, figure out, wait a second, how do I can control how I am interpreting this, and I can make this a bad thing, or I can make this something that has learning and power for me to propel myself.
I believe that over the past 2 years, I've been I've learned to digest good material for my body, for my spirit, for my soul, so that I can show up in a positive way. In 2024, in November, I got hospitalized because I was very stressed. My cortisol levels were very high. I didn't understand what's happening. And I had to take a step back that, look, you've got a very young family. If you're allowing the situation to consume you, you're going to exit because you only have one body and one life. And I had to learn being centered and being aligned with myself because there's only one me. So it has to do with a lot of training, also meditation, breathing, being present. Yes, the right word is to be present. I learned to be present. I used to listen to the news, and the news would frustrate me while driving. And then I started playing audiobooks and listening to materials that fulfill me. When I get to the office, I'm the happiest person because I had already pumped up my inner person. Yes, I would feed myself. I'll nurture the body. I will exercise, but it's more nurturing the mind so that it's aligned with, it's centered. It's rooted. Um, there was a lady that I went to who was a palm reader. She said, "You are centered, but you're not rooted." I did not understand. What on earth are you talking about? It's in the hindsight. And also at the point, at that phase in my life, I'm seeking answers. I want to go to every other therapist. I want to go to every other numerologist. I want to go to palm reader. I want answers. Why is this happening in my life? Why am I not moving? What's happening? So one lady who I really respect said, "You are centered but not rooted." It's only very recently, Molly, that I realized what she meant. The upper person has to be aligned with with the person from the ground. So there must be alignment. Even if there's all these setbacks, you must come to a point of appreciating that they will happen and they have to happen. It's like the law of attraction. Yeah.
So wise. I have to say, it's if for the folks who, most folks won't have the chance to be with you in person, but that integration and the groundedness with rooting really comes through. And, I can see it in you because you're just so lit up. It's just the best thing ever. Um,
Cute.
Tano, this is the Say It Skillfully show. So, and I marvel, and I'm just wondering if this comes from your father, but your ability to just really be forthright, to put it out there, to say it. Was there ever a time when you didn't feel like you could speak up? Or or what's challenging for you about speaking up?
There was a time where I felt that I couldn't speak up. I didn't speak up as much as I'm confident and I'm self-assured, I didn't speak up for the longest of time. I didn't speak up for 6 years, Molly. And I read your book, um, Say It Skillfully, last year, in December. And in Feb this year, I went to INSEAD and they said, write your life story and your challenge in your workspace. And after INSEAD, I spoke up. After reading your book, I spoke up. And I think that's these epiphanies that I spoke up, that I mentioned earlier on, happened after speaking up, and things are unfolding and unveiling themselves because I had spoken up. And I don't think if I had not read your book, I would have spoken up. I don't think if I went to INSEAD, I would have spoken up. It has been a very thorny, I must say, speaking up, but you need to be courageous. And I want to encourage your listeners that, speaking up does require training, but you need to be courageous to speak up. And it does come with consequences, good or bad. Most of the time, for me, for the past 6 months, it's been bad, but I am grateful for those life lessons because when I look back and I look forward, the future does look amazing, and I've spoken up. Imagine it took me
Yeah.
6 years to speak up. And it's only after 6 years that I met Molly and I went to INSEAD. I'm forever, forever eternally grateful to Funeka, who just said, okay, you want this much? Go. do the ILWFSA fellowship program, and it has been a life-changing experience. The ladies that I have met, I realize that we've got similar stories to tell. They've been absolutely, absolutely amazing human beings that I've met globally. I've got sisterhood, a global sisterhood. Not a lot of people can say, I can call my friend in Mexico. I can call my friend in the US. I can call my friend in the Bahamas. I can call my friend in Canada. I can call my friend in the UK. So this has been an amazing experience. And I'm eternally grateful to the universe and God for choosing me for this
Yeah.
experience.
Oh, so wonderful. They have that saying, Tondo, the teacher appears when the student is ready. And to your point about just the destiny and how things are flowing, and it's just great that you have flowed with it. Because I think it took me a while to realize, you really do learn to be lucky. And many times you can say, bet there were doors I could have tapped a little and pushed it open, and that would have created something potentially different. And so to be really open to the opportunity that might actually be in disguise, I think is something from that I've learned over the years. Wow, we could go on and on. Let's just go to some personal thing. Tana, what are some of your hobbies?
I used to say, I don't have any hobby. My hobby is to read. My hobby is to study because I've collected in total 6 academic degrees. So I used to immerse myself in studying. Uh, Up until recently, I really like playing tag with my youngest. Uh, so we run around with each other, and my eldest will challenge me because my kids are multilingual. So my eldest will come and say a French phrase and say, can you interpret it? She'll come and speak another African language and say, can you speak can you speak it in a Nigerian accent, or can you interpret the British? Mommy, I have and so we play. So we play with my kids. That's my hobby, playing with my kids. I don't know when they outgrow me or what. I'll probably find a new hobby. And then another thing is watching, um, binge watching TV with my husband. And then we call each other during the middle of the day, and he's like, do you remember what Sean says? We're currently watching The Good Doctor. Um, I'm a good doctor. And then so it will be in between my meetings, and he'll call me and he's like, I'm a good doctor. And I have to respond back and say, I'm a good doctor too.
It's just so
So,
cute. I love it.
so, I'm finding new hobbies, because I have sworn to myself I'm not taking up any academic degree. I'm done studying, so yeah. So yes, I'm enjoying playing tag.
Yeah, you're studying life, my friend. Okay, I have this definition loosely of introvert is someone who derives their energy mainly from within, and extrovert is people who derive their energy from the outside. So not an index of sociability per se. Where would you put yourself?
I like calling myself an extrovert, but I'm actually an ambivert. By I love my space. So I won't say I'm an introvert, but I love being alone. Uh, just having moments with myself. Be it I'm meditating, be it I am just not doing anything, I'm sitting on my bed, or be it sitting in the car after driving, or actually sometimes hiding from my kids. I literally look, are they there? And I'll sneak upstairs and just lock the door just to be by myself. And that's when I recharge. And then when I go to socials, you'll see me butterflying everywhere, getting energy from my environment. So I think I'm in between. I appreciate being an introvert and an extrovert. I've got both elements within me.
Nice, nice. Okay, what might people, even close friends, find surprising about you?
that I've got so much energy. And I am a very flamboyant person. One lady said, I cannot get where you find the energy. And you are like a teenager. Like, I've got a very young spirit, hey? In my past life, I think I was a teenager for 100 years. No,
I
teenagers are
think that
ugly. Teenagers are mean. I was probably a 10-year-old, rather. Because 10-year-old for 100 years. So I thank my reincarnated spirit.
it's amazing. Okay, so wrap here. If assuming everything is the way it is, right? So nothing has changed where you are now. Is there something in the past that you'd call a do-over or even a regret? Something you might have done differently?
No regrets.
Love it.
No.
Proudest accomplishment, work or personal?
Proudest accomplishment is getting into the IWFSA fellowship. Oh my, I can carry on and on about it till doomsday, because even multinational executives might not get into the IWF fellowship, but I got that opportunity.
Meant to be, meant to be. Okay, rapid fire. In your next life, what profession would you be?
I'm going to be the president of South Africa.
Okay. And favorite food or favorite cuisine?
Seafood.
Yum. Okay, now I'm going to give you 2 takeaways. A takeaway for your own self as you've listened to yourself to reflect, and then a takeaway for listeners.
A takeaway for myself is I'm grateful for being given the opportunity to mother my kids and be a spouse to my husband. When all these, and a daughter to my mother, when all these titles are gone, corporate titles and everything, I have a safe space. I have home. Even if we can be in the car together or in a park where there's no shelter above us, we are home. And a takeaway to the listeners is nurture those relationships that matter. The ones that don't, it's okay to let go of. And it's also okay to let go of things that are not fulfilling you.
Nice, nice. Lastly, Thando, what was it like for you to share your life journey with us today?
It's been amazing. It's been interesting. One of its kind. Yeah.
Yeah,
Out
well,
of the
you were one of
ordinary.
a kind, my friend. Yes, you are one of a kind. You are
Thank you.
extraordinary for sure. And
Thank you.
I really appreciate you. You are part of the solution, as we say, and you're helping us all be safe, seen and heard, and our true and our very best selves. So I am grateful for you for making the time. If there's any way as you go down this path that I can be helpful to you, I would be honored to help in any little way. And I hope that we will see each other in person somehow. Maybe I'll have to get myself to Johannesburg. Okay, you take good care, my friend. And thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Bye.
Ciao. Oh my gosh, folks. Thando, she uses her voice so skillfully. She's the one who's creating the collective communication for everyone to win. And I want to help you do the same. So please do check out Marshall Goldsmith's and my #1 best-selling book. We've got Say It Skillfully 101, actually, which is a program in various forms that you can use to actually learn how and when best to use your voice with clarity, with compassion, and with confidence. And so I want to close with a final thought, and it's something that Thando shared with me, one of her favorite mantras, a learning nation is a winning nation. And that is a wrap, folks. I want to thank you for joining us. Please be part of the solution. Kindly share the show. Amplify Thando's voice. And I want you to reflect on your own top takeaways. And now I'm cheering for you to be who you are, say what needs to be said skillfully, so that you and those around you create that shared reality that makes work and life so much better. Take good care.
Say It Skillfully is finding your authentic voice and learning how and when best to use it, with clarity, compassion, and confidence. When you say it skillfully, the people around you rise, and so do you.